I'm 74. I live alone. And I almost died 3 times because of something I never saw coming. My name is Margaret. I've lived in this house for 42 years. My husband passed 6 years ago. My kids live 3 states away. And for the longest time, I thought I was doing fine. I wasn't fine. Last Tuesday, I woke up on my kitchen floor. I don't know how long I'd been there. Could have been 20 minutes. Could have been 2 hours. My hip was screaming. My phone was on the counter. I couldn't reach it. That's when it hit me. If something happens to me in this house, nobody would know for days. That scared me more than the fall itself. But here's what really terrified me. The fall wasn't the problem. The fall was just a symptom. There were 3 silent traps in my home that had been slowly setting me up for disaster. And I had no idea they even existed. If you live alone after 70, listen to me very carefully. These 3 things are in your home right now. They're invisible, they're quiet, and they're more dangerous than anything you can imagine. I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. I'm going to tell you how to spot them, and I'm going to tell you how I fixed them before they killed me. Let me start with the first trap, the one that put me on that kitchen floor. It's called the friction trap, and it's hiding in plain sight. Here's what I mean. About 8 months ago, I started noticing my feet dragging a little bit when I walked. Not a lot, just a tiny shuffle. I thought it was just age. I thought it was normal. So I ignored it. Big mistake. See, when you live with someone, they notice these things. They say, "Hey, you're shuffling your feet. Maybe we should check that out." But when you live alone, there's nobody to tell you. So you just keep shuffling and shuffling. And before you know it, your feet aren't lifting at all. Now here's where it gets dangerous. Your brain adjusts. It compensates. You start walking differently without even realizing it. Your balance shifts. Your posture changes. And suddenly, the tiniest thing becomes a hazard. For me, it was a kitchen rug, a rug I'd walked over 10,000 times. But on Tuesday morning, my foot caught the edge. Just a 1/4 inch of fabric. That's all it took. Down I went. When the physical therapist came to evaluate me later, she asked me to walk across the room. She watched for maybe 10 seconds and said, "Margaret, you're not lifting your feet at all. You're skating across the floor." I had no idea. She told me something that changed everything. She said, "The friction trap happens because you stop getting feedback. When you live alone, your body starts making tiny compensations. You don't notice because there's nobody there to mirror you. Nobody to say, 'That's not how you used to walk.' So the problem gets worse and worse until something breaks. Here's how you check for this right now. Stand up, walk to your kitchen and back. But here's the key. Pay attention to the sound your feet make. Are they sliding? Are they shuffling? Are you hearing a constant scraping noise? If yes, you're in the friction trap. Now here's how you fix it. First, get rid of every single rug in your house. I know that sounds extreme. I know you love those rugs, but they're death traps. All of them. Gone. Second, practice lifting your feet. I'm serious. Stand in front of a mirror, march in place, lift your knees. Do this for 2 minutes every single morning. It retrains your brain to pick up your feet instead of dragging them. Third, and this is the one that saved me, get what's called a gait trainer. It's basically a walker, but you don't lean on it. You just use it to keep yourself aware. The physical therapist gave me one. Within 2 weeks, my shuffling stopped completely. The friction trap almost killed me, but it's not the worst one. The second trap is even more insidious. I call it the silence trap. Let me tell you what happened to my neighbor, Robert. He's 78, lives alone. One morning, he had what he thought was a small stroke. His left arm went numb for about 30 seconds. Then it came back. He felt fine, so he didn't call anyone. 3 days later, he had a massive stroke. He couldn't reach his phone. He laid on his bedroom floor for 14 hours before his daughter happened to stop by. Robert survived. Barely. But he lost function in his left side permanently. And you know what the doctor told him? If he'd gotten help after that first episode, the big stroke probably wouldn't have happened. But here's the thing. Robert didn't tell anyone about the first stroke because he didn't want to bother anybody. And because he lives alone, there was nobody there to notice that something was off. That's the silence trap. When you live alone, small warning signs disappear into the void. Nobody sees them. Nobody asks questions. And by the time something major happens, it's too late. I fell into this trap too. About a year ago, I started forgetting words. Little things. I'd be talking and suddenly the word I wanted would just vanish. I'd say, "Can you hand me the thing?" instead of, "Can you hand me the remote?" It happened maybe once a week, then twice a week, then every day. But because I lived alone, I didn't talk to people enough to realize how bad it was getting. I'd have full conversations with myself where I'd just skip over the words I couldn't remember. My brain filled in the gaps. I thought I was fine. Then one day my daughter called. We talked for 10 minutes. After we hung up, she called me right back. She said, "Hey, Mom, are you okay?" You couldn't remember the word refrigerator. You called it the cold box. That's when I knew something was wrong. I went to the doctor. Turns out I had a vitamin B12 deficiency. It was affecting my cognitive function. 1 month of supplements and the word thing completely stopped. But here's what scares me. If my daughter hadn't called that day, I would have kept deteriorating. I would have thought it was just normal aging, and eventually it would have become permanent damage. The silence trap is brutal because you become your own baseline. You have no comparison. You don't know if what you're experiencing is normal or dangerous because there's nobody there to reflect it back to you. Here's how you protect yourself from the silence trap. You need what I call a check-in system. Find one person, a friend, a neighbor, a family member, and commit to talking to them at the same time every single day. Not texting, talking, on the phone, for at least 5 minutes. Why? Because when you talk to the same person regularly, they notice changes. They hear when your speech is slurred. They notice when you're repeating yourself. They catch the small warning signs that you can't see. I have a check-in buddy now. Her name is Linda. She lives 2 blocks away. Every morning at 8 o'clock, we call each other. We talk for exactly 10 minutes. We don't always have much to say. Sometimes we just talk about the weather, but we're consistent. 3 weeks ago, Linda said, "Margaret, you sound really tired today. Did you sleep okay?" I said I slept fine, but she kept pushing. "No, really, you sound off." Are you feeling okay? Turned out I had a urinary tract infection. I didn't even know it, but Linda heard it in my voice. We caught it early. Problem solved. That's the power of breaking the silence trap. You need another set of eyes and ears. Someone who knows you're normal. Someone who can spot when things shift. Now let me tell you about the third trap. This one almost killed my friend Dorothy. And when I tell you what it is, you're going to think I'm being dramatic. But I promise you I'm not. It's called the routine trap, and it's the deadliest of all three. Dorothy is 76. She lives alone, and for the past 10 years, she's had the exact same routine. Wake up at 6, coffee at 6:15, breakfast at 7, walk at 8, lunch at noon, TV at 1, dinner at 5:30, bed at 9, every single day, exactly the same. She thought routine was good. She thought it kept her healthy, and for a long time, it did. But here's what she didn't realize. When you live alone and you fall into a rigid routine, your brain stops adapting. It stops learning. It stops growing. You're essentially running on autopilot. And when you're on autopilot, you stop noticing changes in your environment. You stop reacting to new situations. Your brain becomes stiff, inflexible. One Tuesday, Dorothy's normal walking route was blocked because of construction. She had to take a different path, and she panicked. She literally froze on the sidewalk. She couldn't figure out what to do. Her brain had become so locked into the routine that any deviation felt impossible. She stood there for 10 minutes. Eventually, someone stopped to help her. They walked her home. But here's the scary part. When she got home, she couldn't remember her address. She'd lived there for 30 years. But because she was out of her routine, her brain just shut down. The paramedics came. They ran tests. Physically, she was fine. But mentally, she'd created what the doctors called learned rigidity. Her brain had become so dependent on routine that it lost the ability to adapt. I saw this happening to me too. I realized I was eating the same breakfast every single day for 3 years. Oatmeal with blueberries, same bowl, same spoon, same time. One morning, I was out of blueberries, and I genuinely didn't know what to do. I stood in front of the fridge for 5 full minutes, trying to figure out what to eat instead. That's when I realized the routine trap had me too. Here's why this is so dangerous when you live alone. Routine feels safe. It feels stable. And when you're by yourself, you cling to that stability because it's the only control you have. But that stability is a trap because life doesn't follow routines. Emergencies don't follow schedules. And if your brain has forgotten how to adapt, you're in serious trouble when something unexpected happens. I talked to a neurologist about this. She told me something fascinating. She said, "Margaret, your brain is like a muscle. When you do the same thing every day, you're only using one part of that muscle. The other parts atrophy. And when you suddenly need them, they're not there anymore." She gave me a challenge. Change one thing every single day. Doesn't have to be big, just one small thing. So I started doing that. Monday, I ate breakfast at a different time. Tuesday, I took a different route on my walk. Wednesday, I listened to music instead of the news. Thursday, I wore my watch on my right wrist instead of my left. Tiny changes. But you know what happened? Within 2 weeks, I felt sharper, more alert, more alive. My brain woke up. And here's the real benefit. When unexpected things happen now, I don't panic. Last week, my hot water heater broke. 2 years ago, that would have sent me into a spiral. But now, I just adapted. Called a plumber. Heated water on the stove for my coffee. Problem solved. Breaking the routine trap doesn't mean throwing out all structure. It just means keeping your brain flexible, keeping yourself adaptable. Because when you live alone, adaptability isn't a luxury, it's survival. So let me bring this all together. 3 silent traps. The friction trap. Your body compensates for physical decline, and nobody's there to notice. The silence trap. Warning signs disappear because there's no one to reflect them back. And the routine trap. Your brain becomes rigid and loses the ability to adapt. Here's what I want you to do today, right now. 3 simple things. First, walk across your room and listen to your feet. If you hear shuffling, you're in the friction trap. Get rid of your rugs. Start practicing lifting your feet. Consider getting a gait trainer. Second, set up a check-in buddy. Find one person who will talk to you at the same time every single day. 5 to 10 minutes. On the phone, not texting. This breaks the silence trap. Third, change one small thing tomorrow. Eat a different breakfast. Take a different route. Wear something you haven't worn in a year. Anything. Just break the pattern. This keeps your brain flexible. These 3 traps almost destroyed me, but I caught them. And you can too. Living alone after 70 doesn't mean you're vulnerable. It just means you have to be intentional. You have to be aware. You have to protect yourself in ways that people who live with others don't have to think about. I'm still here. I'm still independent. I'm still living in my house. But I'm doing it smarter now. I'm doing it safer. And I'm doing it on my terms. You can do the same thing. Starting today. Subscribe if this helped you see something you'd been missing.